is the Bobsy Twins coming to you live.
You've been sleeping too long.
Oh, we just love Decal. So we're here to introduce you to his new podcast.
Let me tell you, he's fun and loving.
And witty and handsome and down to earth. And that's what we're here bringing you. E.I.T.H.R, the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Woo-hoo.
So, let's start with the E.I.T.H.R.
You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with Decal.
What up, everybody? It is Decal here hosting the E.I.T.H.R podcast at the GNSHQ here in Northern California. We are starting the podcast a little bit later than normal. As some of you may know, most of you probably do not. We just moved into our new studio/office location and was dealing with some furniture, trying to quarterback, getting everything situated and placed and organized, so on and so forth, and irresponsible on my part, but lost track of time. But here we go, and I figured might as well give you a little something than a whole lot of nothing at all. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your time. We're going to make this short and sweet for everybody so they can enjoy the first weekend of the new year. So let's get right to it. For everybody who's new to the podcast, the E.I.T.H.R podcast is an acronym which stands for the elephant in the room, where we talk about certain issues and topics that you may not be able to discuss within your small circle because most people are short-sighted or nearsighted, and they refuse to see different perspectives other than the one that they believe happens to be the correct one. So we look at things from a multitude of angles, so everything or most of everything is able to get a fair share of perspective. We're not here to sell you on anything or to change your mind, other than have you leave here with a more of an informed opinion. We love to do this thing, what we call shout outs, and I give shout out to certain people or groups, individuals, whether I know them or do not know them. And then we give inspirational, motivational to get your evening, the next day, or whenever it is mood that you're in when you listen to the podcast. So what I would like to do is to give a shout out to anybody who is starting a New Year's resolution off on the right foot. I understand that some people believe in it, some people don't. I understand a lot of people believe in their New Year's resolution January 1st all the way to January 2nd. However, if you made it this far, so far, good job. I also want to give a shout out to everyone in the Bay Area who is dealing with this massive storm. Today, I believe, getting a break. Maybe it's going to pick up again tomorrow afternoon. So everybody out there, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry as much as possible. I want to give another shout out to everyone that is in Buffalo, New York, dealing with the recovery of that superhero right now that's in the hospital. We talked about that a little bit in the last episode, and so I just want to give a shout out to him and his family and everybody out there in Buffalo, New York, and anyone else who is dealing with some other tragedies that is pulling through. Inspirational and motivational. I would say be very, very cautious and aware of being judgmental of people. Everyone fucks up. Everyone makes mistakes. Everybody fumbles. Everybody stumbles. It's not if you fall, it's how you get back up. Also, to those who are looking for opportunities to get back on the wagon, to get back on that horse, to get back on that track, someone's giving you an opportunity. Someone's giving you a second or third or fourth chance. So don't squander it. Don't try to scheme them. Don't try to take advantage of them. Don't think, okay, I'm going to fuck this person over the moment I get the opportunity to get my comeuppance. Because karma is a bitch and her heart is colder than Greenland in the wintertime with a wind chill factor. Be kind, be courteous, be considerate. Don't judge. Don't fuck anybody over who's giving you opportunity. We're going to get into a couple of subjects in a quick second, but social media, if you guys can follow Instagram and Twitter is the same handle. It's the E.I.T.H.R, T-H-E-E-I-T-H-R. YouTube, you're more than welcome to follow the parent company, the GNS Inc., T-H-E-G-N-S-I-N-C. Subscribe, and we will be right back to get right into this episode, number 62. It's going to be a really brief episode for everybody, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
What up, though? This is La Cabrona Más Chingona from Kansas City, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with my boy, D-Cal.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to get right into this episode, number 62. Two topics we're going to be addressing. They're both fairly important, so I'm not too sure which one I'm going to start off with. But fuck it, I'm going to flip the coin and go ahead and start off with this. Listen, we said something inspirational and motivational when it comes to judging and not taking advantage of those who give you the opportunity. I was sitting back earlier at the office working on some production with GNS Entertainment and some things with Mile with the clothing line. And for background music, background noise, I had the movie Heat, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. This movie came out back in 1994, 1995, somewhere around that time. Really great movie. Very good movie. Great cast. Val Kilmer, Ashley Judd, several other people in this film. You will recognize them once you see them by face or hear them by voice. Anywho, there's a character, I can't remember my man's name. Everyone knows him from Allstate, the Allstate guy. He plays this con who gets out of prison and works at a diner. And you can tell that he's happy to have a job. He's happy to be out on the outs. He's happy to fresh air, as much as you possibly can, quote unquote, freedom. And the manager, owner, supervisor guy you get to just rag at him, saying, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do this, and this. And if you give me any shit, I'm going to report you as drunk, loaded, this, that, the other, stealing, and have your ass sent back to prison. Moral of the story is this. I know people who've been to prison. I know people who get out of prison. I know people who are currently in prison. Okay? It's a revolving door, and it's a double-edged sword at the same time. Because when people go into prison, sometimes the reason why they're in there isn't necessarily what people judge them for. It could be a self-defense situation. It could be a wrong place, wrong time situation. I remember myself being in jail for traffic violation. FTA is what's called failure to appear. And a failure to appear, common sense, is when you have a court date, but for whatever reason you don't make it to the court date. Most of the time, my failure to appears in court were because I had no transportation. I had no reliable transportation. And most of the court dates were to courts that were nowhere near where I lived. In addition to that, the address that they had, I no longer lived there. So if they sent me something, I never received it because I wasn't there at the residence anymore. They couldn't get a hold of me because Lord knows how many times my number has changed. And I had no way of getting to said location. So most of the time, I was unaware that I had a court date. Some cases I knew I had a court date, I just couldn't make it. Well, what I did not know was this. In the state of California, if you have an FTA, it is a mandatory 5 days in jail per FTA. Per FTA. Fuck. Your boy had 4 of them. Right. And that's some goofy shit, right?
Yeah, of course. Something wrong here.
Tell me about it. Man. So when I found that out, I was like, wait, what? And that's how I learned the miscommunication, all the different ways they attempted to get in contact. And I was like, damn, for real? I had no idea. When you're in jail, they don't have it to where, okay, people with traffic violations are here, mass murderers are here, rapists are here, drug dealers are here, jaywalkers are here. No, it's not set up that way. You're in one big ass congregation. You either in PC or you're in Gen Pop. One or the other. Okay? One or the other. It doesn't matter if you got into a domestic violence. It doesn't matter if it's assault and battery. You guys are all in the same. Chomos are typically separated. Chomos is a term for child molesters. Are separated in a different area. But we're not going to get into the details of all that shit. It's just one of those things where when you're in there, you're all wearing the same outfit. You're all wearing the same color jumpsuit for the most part, depending on your level of crime and, punishment, so on and so forth. But if you were to see people, you would think everybody in there is a violent criminal. There's no differentiating anybody. Okay? Unless you hear the story from the person, you don't know what they're in for. You always think worst case scenario. If you think anything at all, because some people are just antisocial, they just want to do their time, and they sleep most of the time to pass the time by. I say all that to say this. When you get out and you tell someone, I was incarcerated for this, immediate judgment happens. You start thinking the worst kind of possible thing they're going to do if you employ them. Okay? That's not always the case. There's been several times where you can be in the car with someone who's doing something fucked up, and you literally do not know. The problem is, nobody cares. Okay? They don't care. You're going down with them. You're getting incarcerated along with them. None of that shit matters to anybody in the police squad car. All right? When these people get out or they share that information with you, understand the situation that it could have been. Okay, this is what happened. All right. Because you're not going to know if it's true or not unless you trust that person or someone can vouch for that person. Bottom line is these people are trying to get back on their feet. And it's extremely hard, ladies and gentlemen, to get back on your feet when legitimately nobody wants to give you an opportunity to even, prove yourself. So when you see people or hear about people who is looking for a job but can't land a job, or they get discouraged because they can't find a job. Listen, the shit can be frustrating, which I understand as an employer, and we're going to get to that perspective in a moment. But if you're trying to look for employment and you can't find it, you have bills. Your bills are not going to sit back and say, oh, okay, well, we'll just postpone everything until you find employment. That's not how bills work. Everyone knows this. You lose a job, your bill's still coming. When it comes to someone who's incarcerated or who have been incarcerated, again, their situation is, I can't find a job, plus nobody wants to hire me, unless, if you pay attention, majority of them are labor jobs, construction, any type of heavy lifting. Most of the time is construction or canvassing, right? Those typically are the positions that hire. Now, luckily, there's a lot of employers out there who is becoming more lenient. That's a wonderful thing. But there's a lot of them who are so caught up in the record that they don't want to associate themselves with. And that's, again, it's understandable, but it's extremely frustrating for someone who is attempting to change their life. So you have to understand, if a person can't find a job, his or her only option is to go back to what they knew, which is exactly to put them where they once were, where they just came out of the same trap, if you will. And it's extremely frustrating because they legitimately are giving themselves, they're trying. They're legitimately trying to get back on their feet. But for whatever fucking reason, they can't land because of their record. I don't know if the system is set up that way intentionally to where your options are very, very minimal and you can only do labor work or canvassing or set back up to keep that prison system functioning, because it's a money maker as well. But it's the only option they have. Now, there's nothing in this world is 100% except for nothing is 100%. So you're going to get people who do have a problem. They do have an issue with staying out of jail. Sure, you have those people. And unfortunately, those handful is going to ruin it for the larger group that want to do good. When I was a little boy, my oldest brother would say, sometimes the good has to suffer for the bad. And that's a very true statement. Because like I said, you will have those people who are legitimately trying to do well, but because they have that one thing on their record or that one blemish on their record, now they get hawkeyes all over. And I can tell you right now, for some folks, it doesn't matter how well you present, how well you carry, how well you're doing. If a motherfucker is going to continuously treat you, see you, approach you, you're eventually going to say, well, screw it. No matter what it is that I try to do, I'm being judged as if I am what I'm telling you that I'm not. So I might as well be what you say I am. At least I can have the benefit of having fun, and I'm good at that. A manipulation of that too is, again, going back to the film Heat with that character. Some people will talk to an ex-con, someone who's on probation, someone who's on parole, because they know you can't do anything to me. And that's a very fucked up situation as a human being, for someone to talk to you, talk down upon you, knowing if you say anything in retaliation to what I'm saying to you, I'm going to report your ass and get you sent back to jail. That may be your second, it may be your potentially third strike. Whatever the case may possibly be. So you put a person in a situation where they have to take that verbal or financial, because their schedule can get fucked up, their shifts can get taken. Everyone who knows how to have a 9-to-5 job, you know at times your schedule can change, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because if you need the job, which everyone needs the job or jobs, because of the way money's going and the way everything's increasing, you got to eat that, right? I have a friend right now who, she had COVID, and her employer took her completely off the schedule. Well, apparently she used sick time. Well, they didn't compensate her for that. Now, she doesn't have a criminal record, right? But I'm using this as an example to say, if she did have one, there's a great chance that this job could, for legal term, discriminate against her, because even though you're not supposed to, it's very difficult to prove intent with people. Now, the flip side to that, as the employer, you run the risk of, if somebody has a criminal record, if there's money, there's product, there's your clientele, your environment, you may have a coworker who wants to provoke you in doing something, so that way they can get you in trouble. There's some people who want to provoke you just to test their manhood, so they will say things because, again, they know you can't do anything to retaliate. It's a very foul situation. When I was in training to own my very first business, as doing fragrances, majority of the people who came in were off of Craigslist, and majority of the people who came in from Craigslist, 70-80% of them, I would say, had criminal records, whether prison, jail, felonies, multiple strikes, whatever the case is. So my experience is people who have those situations, they're just looking for another shot, and they're looking to not be judged, and most of them were high-producing individuals. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Food for thought.
Yo, what up, folks? This is Rodney Farrell, the CEO of Farrell Development Group, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast, hosted by D-Cal. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Here's your boy D-Cal here with the E.I.T.H.R podcast. I do want to say one more thing about the last segment. We were just talking about with people and judging, and most people who are from or have been on or associate with the streets, they have one thing that those who are completely separate from that world don't have, and that is people skills. And I know you're probably looking at it like, how the fuck does a drug dealer have people skills? Well, one, you know how to identify body language between a customer and a cop. You understand there's a certain type of stroll vibe you get. So they can kind of gauge if a person is interested in something or not interested in something. Now, they may not have the same gravitas when it comes to having a conversation. They might have a certain tone that may be aggressive, because in that world, if you're sweet and nice and innocent, you are prey to those predators. That's an analogy. You are viewed as weak and soft to many of those people. So there's a few things you can learn on how to read. Now, most of them, depending on how you perceive them and treat them, again, they just want to be respected. They don't want to be judged. They're willing to learn. You just have to understand how to communicate with them, because they are human beings. If you have an opinion about that, you're more than welcome to hit us on social media, Instagram or Twitter, the E.I.T.H.R. You're more than welcome to go to the YouTube page, the GNS Inc. Comment on episode 62 about this topic. And hey, like E40 says, talk to me. I'll talk right back. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk to is called checking in. Listen, y'all. Most people hear that term checking in and you instantly think of you being a child checking in with your parents, checking in with mommy and daddy, like you're a little boy or a little girl, and you got to tell everyone where you're at. You have to let them know, I'm going to the store. I'm going to my friend's house. I'm going to the store. That is probably the worst way to view it. And here's what I'm talking about. I'm in Northern California. Southern California has this thing where it's called checking in. And I'm specifically talking about Los Angeles. I have friends, I know people, I talk to folks who are from LA, and they all say the same thing. Celebrities would tell you the same thing. Los Angeles is an extremely, extremely dangerous place. Here's why. From someone that I know who is from Los Angeles, she's from Compton, she'll tell you there's a lot of politics that goes on in Los Angeles. And I'm not talking about the political politics of the government. I'm talking about politics from the street. All of LA may not be like this, but you don't know who is from where and who is standing next to you in Los Angeles. I'm not saying that as a scare tactic, and I'm not saying LA is an evil place, but you should always know your environment, right? So checking in isn't saying, hey, may I go outside to somebody? Hey, is it okay if I come to Los Angeles today? That's not what checking in means. Wrong. Checking in means this. I'll call my buddy Mark. Hey Mark, what's up? This is DCal. Hey D, what's going on, man? How you doing? Good. Listen, I was thinking about coming down to Los Angeles. What's good with it? Oh, okay, where you thinking about going? Oh, I'm thinking about going to this part of LA. You know what, D? That wouldn't be a good idea. Why is that? Well, this is what went down. This is what's going on. This is who is between. Here's who's involved. This is possibly what they're looking for. Oh, okay. Are you familiar with this part of Los Angeles? You know what I am. Okay, here's what I would do. I will go there, and if you see this, and this, stay away. If you don't, you're good. But the moment you see this, time to migrate. You gotta go. Good looking out. Appreciate that. Another example of checking in. You go to some place with your buddy, and you say, hey, I want to go there tonight. Your buddy says, you know what? I wouldn't go there after 2 o'clock. What do you mean? After 2 a.m., man, listen, they're robbing people. So if you want to go to that club or that bar or that area, I would say this. Leave by midnight. 12:30 at the latest. Because anything after that, they're scoping people. Okay, cool. Here's another example of checking in. Hey, I want to go out to Compton. I've never been. We're thinking about checking this part out over here. Okay, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to wear this. And my homegirl, Key, you hear her on The Greeting from time to time. She's the one who also let me know there's certain things in LA you can, and there's certain things in LA you cannot wear or say. In the Bay Area, you can say certain phrases and nobody thinks anything of it. For the most part. If you go to Los Angeles and you say certain phrases, depending on what neighborhood you're in, that's a red flag to them. Because it's not only political, but it's very territorial in certain parts of LA. checking in is great for not just people out of state, but people out of town. It's a wonderful thing. Think of checking in as a heads up. It's like you're asking, hey, who all over there? Before you go to a party. Who's all over there? You get an idea of what's going on, so you are aware. There's a lot of people on social media, man. Listen, some of you motherfuckers are tough from 2,000 miles away. You know what I'm saying? You're extremely brave on your smartphone. And I think a lot of folks take when people from LA give you the expression, before you're going to LA, check in. That's not telling you need to come talk to me so I can give you approval. That's not what it means. Again, it's a heads up. Because there are certain colors you cannot wear in certain neighborhoods. And get ready for this, ladies and gentlemen. It's more than just red and blue. I was told there's red, burgundy, purple, blue, orange. There's all kinds of shit because there's different kinds of sets and clicks. You can't say certain phrases. You can't do certain gestures. It's a very different mindset, again, depending on what part of Los Angeles you go to. There are certain parts of LA that's not like that. But if you remember, I believe it was E.I.T.H.R posted something on his video where there was a certain part of Los Angeles and there was a cop car there. And they still were shooting. I believe it was also E.I.T.H.R who posted this thing with, I think it was Snoop Dogg and somebody else, and Kendrick Lamar and Dr. Dre and himself and Cube, and he says, even folks from Los Angeles don't wear a lot of flashy jewelry because Los Angeles is an extremely dangerous place. There's a lot of people who have lost their life in LA for the fact of they think nothing's going to happen to them because of who they are. No one in Los Angeles gives a fuck about you, bro. LA is Hollywood. They see celebrities and big shots all the time. You ain't nobody new. The difference is you are somebody new. That's it. So you need to be cautious and careful and check in. Oakland is no different. San Francisco is no different. East Palo Alto, no different. South San Jose, no different. Antioch, no different. Pittsburgh, no different. Jesus, Vallejo's no different. Santa Rosa's no different. Fairfield, Vacaville, no different. You just have to know how to maneuver in certain spots, in certain areas. Now, from me growing up there, the Bay Area was less aggressive when it comes to vocabulary and what you wear, sure. But you also got to know where the fuck you at. Because there are certain parts of cities that has, if you will, their own language, their own slang, their own verbiage. So when you go there and you say certain things, it may be from a different place and you may possibly, realistically, get approached. Now, if you are approached and you're not involved with whatever that they're approaching you about, simply let them know. But you also have to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that that's a world that's full of man. I think people don't realize it's not what you think it is online or in the comment book or in the comment section. People think because it doesn't happen to them, it won't happen to them. It happens. Okay? I'm from West Oakland, California. That does not necessarily mean I can easily go to 65th and East Oakland and have a conversation with somebody. I'm not from there. Does that make sense? You can't go to Bushrod and North Oakland and just say whatever you want to because you're from fill in the blank. You can't go to North Richmond and say certain things because that's just not how they get down. Know your audience. Read the room. I try to explain this to people. And a lot of folks who are out of town think they can do what they want. I know I'm repeating myself. But no, if I go to Chicago, Illinois, I have to make sure I know what the hell I'm doing, where I'm going, who I'm with. It's just being aware of your surroundings. That's all it is. That's the definition of checking in. Okay? Nothing more, nothing less. Please take your ego out of it. Again, it's nice to be aware of what the fuck is going on in the city so you don't get caught up in something you cannot get yourself out of. Listen, everybody wants to stunt. Everybody wants to show off. Everybody wants the attention. Everybody wants to chase the clout. Be smart, ladies and gentlemen. Some of these people who have lost their lives in these cities lost their life because they were not aware of their surrounding. They think it's just like how it is where I'm from, and it's not. You're not being scary when you're approached to tell someone, look, man, I'm not from out here. I'm just out here visiting so-and-so. I'm just, vacation. I'm just here touristing. I don't gangbang. I don't sell nothing. I'm not moving anything on your territory. I'm just walking down the street. Simple. Now, we live in a world where everyone's trying to impress everybody. Worst case, you're in an area where somebody's trying to impress themselves. That can get a little dicey. Be smart. Go home. Go home safely. Go home to your loved ones. Okay? Don't go someplace and provoke a situation. That's huge. Because you're in their neighborhood. Remember that. You are a visitor. There's an old school saying when I was growing up, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. If I come to your home, I'll be damned if I talk to you in your house any way I want to. It's the same scenario when you go to somebody's city and don't know the rules. You have to be aware of these things. You have to be cautious of these things. So I tell people, learn somebody, meet somebody, talk to somebody, build a relationship with somebody when you go out of town. So when you get there, if you will, you have a tour guide. Build a relationship with that person. Hey, you know what's a good one? Take a random road trip. I've always told people, don't go where the tourists are. Go where the locals go. Because they're going to let you know what's real and what's not. That's just from my personal experience, my personal opinion. Simple as that. Anywho, that's all I wanted to get into today because I figured those things. Listen, every city has a beautiful, established neighborhood. Every city has its rugrats, has its danger zones, and has its places that you do not want to go to. My only suggestion is figure out where you want to go and know who you're going with and keep yourself safe and make sure you go back to your loved ones. That's the purpose of this. Don't judge those because you don't know their path. Don't be condescending to people you don't know. You just don't know what kind of day that they're having or anything about their lifestyle. Whenever I'm out and about, I try to be as respectful as possible too. I don't give a damn if the person's 5'2" or 7'2". I'm gonna give you what you give me. Simple as that. You see what I'm saying? If someone's out there busting their ass the best way they can, don't knock their hustle. Because you don't know what they're coming from. I want everyone to be good to one another, man, this weekend. Like I said, it's the first weekend of the new year. It's your boy DKL here, host of the E.I.T.H.R podcast. Social media on Instagram and Twitter, E.I.T.H.R, the E.I.T.H.R. YouTube, follow us with the parent company. You can follow the episodes, all 62 of them there. On YouTube, the GNS Inc. You guys be good. Talk to y'all next time. We out.
Hello, my name is Candace Romero, and it has been my absolute privilege and honor to be teaching people about doTERRA's essential oils for the last 9 years and helping people live their most vibrant life. If you'd like to learn more about my natural solutions, please feel free to contact me on Facebook at Bay Area Terra Tribe Essential Oils and Natural Solutions, or check out my website, my.doterra.com/Romero. That's my.doterra.com/ROMERO. Thank you.